Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's your boy Kwali. It's the Non-Stop Playing Podcast, and I'm back with another serious topic. So, as you all know, what I do in the beginning, I always give you a recap of what I talked about on the last episode. So, in the last episode, I had my boy Kenny. He was on talking about his experience as a black nurse. Um, and it was a pretty good experience. So if you haven't already, please check the episode out. It's a lot of vital information if you're looking to get into the nursing field, specifically if you are a person of color and specifically black. So tune in, check it out. But without further ado, let's get into this next topic, which I'm super excited about because, as you all know, I love financial literacy. I love talking about things that can help you with your future, setting up your financial stability, financial freedom, things in that nature. So I think this is a great topic that we're going to talk about today that's going to get the people energized and learn some things that a lot of us don't know about. And we try to learn about it. It's like learning Japanese, which Japanese is hard to learn if you haven't tried to learn it at any point. So I got a special guest tonight, and it's interesting how our paths cross because we actually met through a mutual friend at his bachelor party in Miami. So it was interesting. And we had a group chat going on before we went to Miami, just the groomsmen and people that were going to be in the wedding. And we was having talks and conversations, sharing memes and things of the nature. And I'm like, I'm super excited to meet everyone, but specifically the person that I have on today. And when we met in Miami, it just the energy, it was there. It was there from the group chat all the way up until when we left and even at the wedding. So without further ado, I have my guest today, Mr. Rajh. Rajh, if you're nasty, whatever you want to say it. He is here to talk to us about cryptocurrency, something that's super big. So again, thank you for being on the podcast today, Rajh. So tell the audience a little bit about yourself, what you do for a living, what your aspirations are, and how did you get into cryptocurrency?
Sure. Yeah. So first of all, I think we can expand the topic to Web3 in general, just the decentralized infrastructure that we have, cryptocurrency being a part of that, but also NFTs as well as DAOs. I think those three things would be good to talk about today. So yeah, thanks again, Kwali, for having me. Yeah, so I am a user experience designer by trade. So user experience meaning like the interface of software and websites, like what you see when you log into an app, as well as like the overall flow, like everything from like a checkout process on Amazon to kind of more complicated like data visualizations and manipulating large amounts of data. So I came into that in kind of a weird way. I went to school for environmental science, and I was a soil scientist in a wide variety of settings, a little bit of renewable energy, natural gas, combined heating and power plants in Denmark, and then also more of public sector projects like where somebody's building a new light rail line and they need to take a soil profile to make sure that they're building on the correct parcel of land. So I've always kind of had this very scientific brain, but I've also been a creative person who kind of loves to draw and stuff, especially like really, really poorly drawn stick figure comics. That's been my jam for a minute. I won't lie, the Saturday morning breakfast cereal type things, like those for sure.
Days.
Yeah. So I moved to Austin, Texas about like 6 years ago. And initially while I was in grad school for geology, top geology school in the country. So that's what I was doing at the time. But then I just started going to a bunch of tech events for the happy hours, free foods and the open bar. And I kind of got sucked into it. I started learning about the science and the human factors and psychology that goes into how people actually craft technology. And part of it is scary because like they're crafting it to encourage certain human behaviors. Like they want you to buy all their stuff. They want you to subscribe. They want you to engage with technology and spend as much time in the apps. And it's and sometimes, you know, like how people might say, oh yeah, Facebook, like in the old days, you know, they're on Facebook or they're on the gram. That's very addicting. It's specifically designed that way. So I kind of I've been doing that for the last few years, probably, yeah, last 5 years. And that's kind of been enterprise software in industries that nobody cares about. So like things, analytics platforms for the energy industry. It kind of fit that I was an environmental scientist doing this stuff. But over the last year and a half, kind of meeting, you know, being self-employed in this space and taking on clients, you go to different events. And so I started kind of learning more about cryptocurrency. I started kind of buying as speculative investments, you know, just dumping a little bit into Bitcoin, Ethereum, some of the major ones, some of the stable coins, like the ones that were actually pegged to the US dollar. And you know, just kind of little by little. But what really drew me into this Web3 space was NFTs. And so I started making art for projects. I started designing websites for these NFT projects, and kind of getting into it from the perspective of a UX designer, right? Creating interfaces for all of these new kinds of technology. So let me give, for all the listeners who are like, yo, who is this guy and what are those words that he's using? Let's pause for a second, and I will give you know, some like brief definitions, right? So I mentioned Web3. That's the big thing going on. Web3 is decentralized internet where data is moving from one person or one party to another without any middleman, basically. So any data transactions, any financial transactions that are happening on the blockchain, anything that you are doing on technology is a peer-to-peer transaction. So going from one place to another. Traditionally, right, when we use things like Amazon, we click on something to purchase it, and that data gets sent to a centralized server or database, and then the data comes back saying, okay, this person has paid the required financial amount, so now we have a record of the item being shipped to them. So it goes through that central server and database. Typically, the internet as we know it, that is how things work. With Web3, the benefit of that being decentralized and peer-to-peer is that there's a few issues with the internet itself, right? The first thing being privacy and security, right? If somebody hacks the servers of, you know, let's say, like if somebody were to hack Instagram, then they have access to your personal data because they have hacked a database or a server that has yielded them a certain amount of account data. And if your account is on there, they got you. Right. So privacy and security is an issue as we know it with the internet today. The second is also that storage, right? Having large files of data stored in a central thing makes it harder to break apart and digest. So the benefit of Web3 things being decentralized is that they can be stored on different nodes of the same blockchain. These files can be split up into smaller chunks. And so the benefit of them is that you no longer, right, if you've got your data on multiple devices, right, you're signed into the same accounts on your laptop and your phone, like the internet now as we know it if you get into one, you've got the accounts and the data, you've hacked the person. Here, they would have to hack multiple devices just to get the same data record. So it makes it a lot harder to hack you, and also generally more secure, more open, more transparent.
Okay. So Raj, my mind is like spinning right now.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Stop me at any time. I know that there's a lot of shit here. There's the can, definitely opening up a can of worms.
Okay, so my question to you is just to kind of bring me up to speed. So essentially, what you're saying is normally, like if you look at a firm or a Stripe or a like Klarna, where it saves your like it gives you options where you can make multiple payments, but it's like a third party vendor that you would connect your like credit card, debit card to, and it's going to make purchases for you and then pull the information for you. So is it kind of similar to that, or is it a safer option when we talk about the blockchain?
Yeah, so it's a safer option, right? So the example you mentioned, somebody saving your credit card data, right? To do this, split it up into multiple payments. So what happens there is your credit card data goes to a centralized server and it gets stored there in order to make this transaction happen, in order to save your data. That's what happens. Versus if you, with Web3, right, you have a digital wallet for whatever cryptocurrency, whether that's Bitcoin, Ethereum, depending on the cryptocurrency, you have a digital wallet. And when you make that transaction, it doesn't save the data because you are recognized as a wallet on a specific blockchain. So you're already recognized because you have a wallet on that blockchain. So it doesn't need to save your data. And then when you make transactions, the data is moving from your wallet to another wallet. So, and there's also ways to look at transaction data to see the data. So to see the actual transaction that happened between you and somebody else. And there is an open record of it that can be accessed. So now, this is not to say that your personal identity is exposed or that any of your personal financial details are exposed. It simply shows transactions that are being made from a specific wallet address. So your wallet has an address, which is basically just a long series of letters and numbers. So they can see that there was an exchange between your wallet address and another wallet address, and a cryptocurrency amount. But other than that, no personal data is being distributed. Nobody can see any of the personal data associated with your digital wallet other than you.
Okay, that makes sense because I know, like for instance, me, I set up through what's it called, MetaFox or something like
MetaMask?
that. Yeah, MetaMask, that's what it's called. So with that, I had to set up my virtual wallet, and it gave me like a 10 word passcode that I have to remember, and if I don't remember it, then I can't access that wallet, and just kind of go through different steps in order to keep like that privacy in place. So yeah, I didn't know what I was doing. I just did it because I watched a YouTube video and it said do it.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's a good way. That's a good reference point. That's a great way of getting started. And I mean, in terms of setting that up, yeah, you want to keep your seed phrase. This thing is called, it's this string of 10 random words. And they're always the funniest phrases ever. Like they're in normal words by themselves, but combined, they're absolutely hilarious. But yeah, a seed phrase is what you use. There's an additional layer of security because MetaMask and other wallets, right? assuming you're using them on your phone or your laptop, I would recommend these as much as you can. Use them on your phone because it is harder for your wallets to get emptied. Now, this can happen if they're connected to a Chrome browser. And if somebody hacks your Chrome browser based on your IP address, they also can get inside your wallet. Now, the way to do this is you exchange cryptocurrency or you purchase it and you have it in your virtual wallet. What you then want to do is called cold storage. So they have these little things that look like regular USB flash drives called ledgers. And so you can plug them into your computer the same way as a USB drive and transfer the cryptocurrency from your digital wallet to this. So you effectively have it on a flash drive. Yeah. So something like it would be a little bit bigger, and sometimes they have like little screens on them, so you can kind of like flip through and see, your amounts of cryptocurrency in them. But yeah, basically that idea.
Okay, I was curious.
Yeah, and doing this like disconnects it from any device that you have, so that allows for full protection, basically.
Okay, cool, cool. All right, so I'm starting to as my gears are turning, it's making sense to me, and I'm hoping that the audience, when they listen in, they can kind of refer back to it or watch it a few times so it makes sense. So I'm glad we're having this conversation because, in society, we're going to more of a digital everything in a sense. So when we talk about FaceTime, how the evolution of cell phones going from the lone sprinter phone to the Nokia to the sidekick or the beeper, then a sidekick, and all of these emphasize, even the flip phone. Now we have these smartphones where it's basically a computer in your pocket. So, but I know a lot of people are kind of hesitant, but also they don't know who to go to learn more about this stuff because you have so many gurus out here, or you have so many people that's telling you to buy a ebook saying, "Oh, buy my course. I'm gonna teach you everything you need to know." And you read the book, and it's a diluted Dr. Seuss. It's nothing in there that's worth anything in a sense. So I was happy to get you on because again, after me and you have a conversation with you, you're a very knowledgeable guy. So yeah, I just so let's keep it going because you're
Sure,
giving some vital information. So you talked about the blockchain, you talked about Web3. So let's talk about some more terms that people should know when it comes to
sure.
getting into this field.
Sure. I'll talk a little bit about NFTs because that's what really, the technology behind that is what really got me, to kind of dive into this space, right? So this is probably like the most popular concept that people know about, even beyond crypto. I think this got a better initial reception from outside the tech community. Just a refresher, an NFT is basically, it stands for non-fungible token. So what it means is it's a unique digital identifier. So you can't copy or substitute it, divide it at all. It's recorded on a specific blockchain, most commonly Ethereum, but then, Solana is a big one, and a few others. And what that identifier does is that it certifies that, whether it's a painting, it's a form of artwork, right, or music, audio tracks, or some type of digital media, whether that's imagery, video, some type of digital media, to certify that it's authentic and that it is owned by the holder of the NFT. So that certifies you, if you have an NFT, as you are the only rightful owner. And the cool thing about it is you can buy and sell NFTs, and these will show a public transaction record of previous owners. So that way, it kind of eliminates one of the biggest pain points of art being traded, especially luxury art, in terms of scam paintings and fakes, right? This is a way of getting around that. And it also empowers artists and creators who are setting things up and making it harder to steal concepts from them, basically. Now, you could right click one of these images of an NFT you see online, but if you don't have this digital record, you cannot prove it's yours. So that's the benefit in terms of authenticity. And this is from a technological standpoint. How this becomes popular, or how it became popular and financially viable is something called utility, right? So utility meaning I am a holder of this NFT. What exclusive benefits do I have because I own this NFT? And that's how the concept of an NFT project started. So you buy into a project, either 1 or 5 or 10 NFTs in a collection, typically around 1,000 to 5,000, could be up to 10,000. But you buy it for a fee, and then you have the option of reselling it, if the value is expected to appreciate. Early on in 2021, this was a very good business move to do. Right now, it is damn near impossible because we're in a little bit of a bear market. While there has been recent resurgence, the NFT market is not as hot, given that everybody is doing that now. Right now, we're starting to see saturation on the main blockchain for that, which is Ethereum, but on Solana and some others, some NFT projects are still viable. So that's one way, right? That you simply just resell it for a higher price in the future, a speculative investment, the same way stocks might be. The second part is staking. So staking is where you rent it. It's effective. I can go into the technological explanation, but the easiest way for me to explain this and for people to understand is that you're basically renting out your NFTs. You rent it out to another user, another digital wallet on the blockchain, and earn cryptocurrency back for doing that.
So I have a quick question about that. Is that similar to like the mining machines that people use for like Bitcoin? Is that similar to that, or is that something different?
No, so this is basically doing a transfer of the NFT over to another digital wallet address in exchange for some rewards. So and these are typically distributed and mined and distributed by the founders of the project. So what is different from what you were talking about is mining. So that is actually, I am not as much of an expert on mining, but that is effectively creating additional supply of the cryptocurrency
Mhm.
by mining nodes on the blockchain. You're creating additional supply.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just curious because I've heard other people and I've met people who are, they've done mining for the past like 2 or 3 years and they've, turned over a huge profit in a sense. But like you were saying earlier, things aren't as equitable in a sense right now because we are in that bear market. And just for the listeners, when we talk about bear, that's a investment term. So you have bear and bull. So depending on what's going on with the market, you're going to have a market where it's bear, where you kind of want to be cautious of what you do when you're putting in because it's super saturated. And when it's a bull, that's when you really want to go crazy with, investing and doing things because now, and it fluctuates, right? It's on I think the bear market is on like a 480-day cycle. So every 480 days, it's going to shift in and shift out. But again, that's another topic for another time when we talk stocks and bonds. Right now, we're talking about Web3, crypto, NFTs, and things of that nature. But yeah, so for the listeners, Raj, what's if they wanted to get involved in this, what's the best way, or how would you seek out getting, started and doing something of this matter?
Sure. So there's a few things here, right? So somebody, could say, oh, I want to buy crypto, or I want to get into NFTs, or I have a particular special interest that I know other people have, right? People who are involved in community organizations and want to have certain things codified into a formal organization or entity, right? And that being DAOs, which I'll get into later. And the benefit of that is, rather than certain executives decisions being made in like a nonprofit or some type of community group, this is a decentralized format, allows everybody, so kind of a direct democracy where they can get into it. But I'll go back into DAOs in a little bit. So few different ways somebody decides. So the first is crypto. They're like, I want to make money off of crypto. So the first thing would be to take a look at the cryptocurrency assets. So first of all, before I go any further, nothing I'm about to say is financial advice, and I advise everybody the famous acronym DYOR, do your own research. But I can give some general guidelines. What you want to do is, in terms of what are things like stable coins, meaning some of the major cryptocurrencies you might be familiar with, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then Solana being one of the DeFi, decentralized finance protocols, that's really become popular over the last year and a half. Another one which really caught fire during the NFT boom, because it has a pretty good blockchain network for gaming and those type of apps, as well as metaverse connectivity, is Avalanche, AVAX. That is also another project. But ideally, what you should do is look at a particular coin or protocol, and kind of identify the mechanisms, right? So there's things like a proof of work or a proof of stake. So these are the consensus mechanisms that basically work off of certain conditions that are determined by a specific blockchain, right? So what these mechanisms do is ensure that transactions are legitimate. So once our transactions are approved, a new block is added. So basically they secure the networks. Now, some of them don't allow staking, which I mentioned is a great way to earn passive income with crypto. So proof of work mechanisms use computational power, and so they don't allow it to. So like, you can't stake Bitcoin, right? You can mine for Bitcoin, but you can't stake it, because Bitcoin is a proof of work mechanism. It uses computational power, and that's why it's so energy intensive, right? You've heard of people mining Bitcoin and doing it on like farms with a bunch of like fans to cool down the hardware so it doesn't overheat, things like that. So knowing that you can't stake on Bitcoin, right, is something to consider. However, there's also proof of stake mechanisms. So these maintain security where they lock it up or they put it at stake. So that's where the term staking comes from. So you also you want to take a look at the mechanism behind a certain coin or DeFi protocol. You want to take a look at its trends, given what its historical performance has been. Learn more about the operation in terms of like who's involved with it, right? Are these people entirely anonymous like Satoshi, or are they what are called doxed public personalities? And typically when you have things that are public personalities, they can be good to trust. But generally looking at trends and how these mechanisms apply is a good way to choose coins. So you basically, right, you choose your coin. The next thing is to also consider the platform in terms of the wallet or exchanges, is in terms of things that allow for easy liquidation, right? Whether it requires additional things. So MetaMask is generally reliable, but it often does take some time to cash out your Ethereum, right? If you are trying to exchange it into US dollars or trade it for another coin. Getting it out of MetaMask can be a little bit difficult. And so they have plugins or additional services for that. But some others, I guess, the statistics I kind of forgot to talk about in terms of choosing your crypto, right? One of the things is market capitalization or market cap. So that's the total value of all the coins. And that's kind of used as a guide to determine how relatively speaking, how stable it is. And so there's kind of like, small cap, mid cap, large cap. Large would be the lower risk and therefore the safest to invest in for beginners, although that sometimes takes some time to grow. Mid cap, more volatile, but better growth potential. And then small cap, that's like the high risk assets like Dogecoin, right? Things that rapidly increase in value because Elon Musk tweeted about it. So you want to think of it by market cap to kind of see how stable it is. And then, as I mentioned before, past price action gains and look at it basically that achieve the highest gains over a period, right? If you're looking at short-term investments or you're looking to trade, looking at a smaller horizon versus looking at, the past 6 months or a year. So basically just kind of, a lot of this is speculative, but past performance can somewhat predict. And then also thinking about the kind of the niche of your cryptocurrency or the token that you're looking at buying. So there's DeFi, decentralized, where that's basically DeFi protocols, right? Financial transactions that are happening on the blockchain, and they're basically trying to remove banks and let legacy institutions from financial transactions. So, Avalanche being one of them, although Avalanche has some utility in terms of setting up gaming or metaverse applications. Play to earn, obviously, the ape coin, decentralized, basically these games that you play online and can earn. I know Caleb has done a little bit of that on Decentraland. But that's basically, something where you're just playing games and earning little amounts.
Okay.
NFTs is the another one, Ethereum, and that's ownership of either physical. Right now, I mean, the trend has been art and multimedia for NFTs, but there's also, I think, the future. What we will see with NFTs is blockchains and protocols being developed for legal contracts and real estate. So houses in the future will be sold as NFTs. And it is also possible to set up, rather than, if you're like a small business provider and you're setting up contracts with the client, right? It's a paper document that maybe a centralized legal authority has access to. Maybe, oftentimes that's not the case. But you would basically have it such that somebody automatically gets access to your service or your products once they issue a portion of a financial transaction that's agreed upon. So basically, smart contracts preventing small business providers, small businesses and service providers from getting screwed over.
Wow, that's crazy. Man, Raj, you've really been going in with the information. So let's give the audience a little moment to let their brains regenerate. We're gonna take a little short break and then
Sure,
we're gonna
sure,
come
sure.
back with some more information. So y'all hang out and we'll be back in a second. All right, great people. Man, we had to take a quick break. I know I had to take a break because man, Raj, when he was talking, I listen, that Japanese, I might be bilingual in a sense. But I'm gonna let him get back to talking this ish about, the metaverse, web 3, crypto, NFTs, because again, this is great information for anyone, but specifically, I want to get it back to our community, which we're going to talk about later on in this episode. So y'all just sit down, get your pen and pad out, and check what my boy is saying.
All right. Cool. Yeah. So kind of, I know that was a lot of information before we break. But so to kind of reiterate what I was talking about, right? So you're somebody who wants to get into cryptocurrency, deciding what exchange to use, what wallets to use. That's where you want to prioritize security and comfort. You want to use something that you can understand the instructions for, where you feel comfortable that you're getting the information that you, as maybe somebody who doesn't know a lot about cryptocurrency, needs. And then with an exchange, you want something that has a wide variety or selection of tokens, but something that you can easily put money into and get out. So Coinbase is one of the most reliable in terms of the amount of tokens they have and the detailed analytics and statistics they provide you with, but it is a pain in the ass to get your crypto out. So kind of thinking about those things. And then with your coins, right? Thinking about its market cap, the total value that's been minted, the price gains, past performance, niche, and really also what is relevant to you in terms of NFTs, stable coins, the play to earn DeFi protocols, right? Figuring out what kind of fits your niche and interest. If you're somebody that says, how do I want to get into the NFT space? The quickest and easiest way is to produce some type of artwork or some type of media. What a lot of high school and college athletes are doing now with recent NCAA regulations that allow you to profit off of your likeness, they're basically selling game footage and minting it as NFTs. And this is really popular now with high school basketball players as they're marketing themselves for college scholarships. So they're starting to mint their game footage from major tournaments as NFTs. And a lot of athletes and artists, rappers, R&B singers, entertainers in general have started to do this as a way of not only monetizing content, but also building out a brand and a community. So that is one of the ways. But Web3, as I see it, is a place for people to take their existing skill sets and apply them towards an entirely new technology. So, real estate agents can use, no code platforms or things that allow you to make your own smart contract, to make your own website with your smart contract integrated, to start selling properties as NFTs. There, what you should ideally be doing in an NFT is, if you're releasing media, right, having that be part of a brand or building a community around it. Very early, when this came out, you could put up really, really trashy, like 8-bit pixel art, as people did, and just like flip that and make hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now, with the saturation, you're more likely to get that financial success out of building a brand, and the NFTs being a part of that brand allow for more exclusive levels and tiers within a community, within your, if you're an artist, a group of fans. I told our boy Troy Books to really think about setting up one of these websites, right, where you have the smart contract integrated and fans can download your latest mixtape as NFTs. 50 Cent actually got super rich off of doing that. I think one of his later albums he made available to purchase with Bitcoin, and this was when one Bitcoin was like $100 or something. So the value of that, people who were holding that album and paid for it in Bitcoin, the value of that must have been huge, and so he's reaped those gains. And then, even if for people who aren't creators, who aren't artists or musicians or videographers or whatever, there's ways of incorporating different tech skill sets. If you're somebody who's doing anything related to sales, business development, or marketing, those are easily transferable skills, because behind all of this technology, to make it successful, to make it financially viable, you need a community. And people who can help build communities will allow these projects, these new cryptocurrencies, tokens, and protocols to gain a lot of traction and popularity. I mean, that's how these NFT projects all like sold out, because there was a Discord that somebody grew and basically just kind of blew up there. So building a community around in the NFT space is kind of everything. So there's ways for people to get involved, bring either a tech skill set or a sales, business development, marketing, community management. And this is something you can get into if you've been like a realtor or a customer service rep on the phone, right? Like, these are very easily transferable skill sets that you can, go from making like $18 an hour doing customer service for some insurance company, right? Taking that skill set into the Web3, right? Being a community manager or like a community builder for either a Discord or hosting, in-person events for these NFT holders. Those are easily transferable skills, and the money is even though we are in a bear market, these things are still financially viable, and Pandora's box has really been opened, right? It's easy to say, oh, crypto tanked, NFTs are worthless, this shit is all trash, but Pandora's box has been opened. This technology is here to stay. It is simply not yet evolved. We are at a point where a lot of cryptocurrency transactions are not as efficient as credit card transactions from a technological standpoint. And there are advances being made. Ethereum is being improved and shifted over to a different a mechanism to proof of stake. So all of these things are still undergoing evolution. So ultimately, this is the financial landscape that, at some point we're all going to have to get used to. But having communities around these things helps also as a form of information and exchange. And that brings me into DAOs, right? What we mentioned earlier. That's kind of the third part of Web3. So a DAO stands for DAO, Decentralized Autonomous Organization. So this is like a community-led entity. It could be a nonprofit. It could be a business organization. It could be anything, right? But no central authority, fully autonomous, transparent. All of the foundational rules are laid out in smart contracts. So this is kind of the precursor, right, to smart contracts actually incorporating the legal system into the blockchain. So smart contracts lay out the rules, execute the agreed upon decisions, and the code can be publicly audited. There's voting that's allowed for new measures. So governed entirely by individual members who make decisions about something, such as either technical upgrades or different different financial allocations. Right. So this kind of eliminates a lot of, snake-like behavior that can sometimes happen in community entities, in that, there's an alignment of incentives. So if you're a member of a DAO, it's in your best interest to vote properly rather than engage in any backroom deals, and only approve proposals that serve the best interests of the protocol, because it's effectively equal responsibility, equal benefit. But the good part of it is that these smart contracts are visible, verifiable, publicly auditable, and so all of this information is out in the open in terms of members that have access to it. So there are DAOs around various NFT projects. There are DAOs around various topics like health, fitness, entrepreneurship. There are even DAOs dedicated to famous people, like a fan club. So this is basically a format of decentralizing community authority, or the execution of community initiatives, making it a more democratic process.
Well, I think that's perfect. A perfect thing to kind of bring it all together, Raj. I think, one of the biggest things in our community, specifically the Black community, I feel, we have been decentralized in a sense, right? We talk about being colonized and, having Black Wall Street and all these other entities that have made us strong, but we've been torn apart and we've been kept apart for so long. But getting into this realm can help our community become more centralized, and galvanize us to be able to do other things when we talk about building back that Black excellence. Now it's growing, but we got to grow more. And I think getting into this field, especially understanding tech, understanding AI, understanding these concepts that we are moving towards, getting more familiarized with that is going to help us move forward. So I want to thank you for coming on today and telling us how to get involved, not giving us financial advice, but
Yeah.
tell, but saying, this is something, getting us some exposure to the actual concept of Web3, NFTs, crypto, Bitcoin, and things of that nature. So, but for the audience, before we end the episode, tell them how they can get in touch with you. Tell them some of your handles that they can look into, which I will provide in the link for the episode.
Sure. So y'all can get at me on LinkedIn. My name is Rajh Shah, SHAH last name, or you can search RSS Design. That is the name of my business. So I run a software development and UX design company geared towards Web3 and crypto, NFTs, those industries. But if you're interested in learning more about these various kinds of technology, if you're an artist, a musician, or some type of creator, and are interested in learning how to better monetize what you're doing and get that in front of a bigger audience, or if you're somebody that runs like a community group and wants to learn how to set up a DAO, definitely get in touch with me. RSS Design 69 is my socials on both Instagram and Twitter. So yeah, I post informational content there, and then also a little bit of memes, just to.
Hey, you come with the memes, man. They super funny.
Yeah,
Yo,
just warning everybody in case they come in and expect pure crypto knowledge. That's not going to happen. I also shit post a lot on the internet. So
hey, it's funny to me, so I appreciate it. But I want to thank you again for coming on the podcast and sharing this vital information with us. And for my viewers, if you haven't already, hit that follow, hit that like, hit that subscribe, because again, I'm starting the movement. I want everybody to get involved, and I actually have options for if you want to donate to the podcast, because again, it's real out here, so we got to make that money. So I'm gonna have a link in the bio for that as well. So check it out. I'm taking all donations. I appreciate it all. And thank you all for tuning in. And I'll be back with another serious topic. So y'all be blessed.